Good evening. I'd like to call to order the May 16, 2019 regular meeting of the Lincoln Way Community High School District 210 Board of Education. If you would please stand for the pledge as you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Janice Doyle. Here. Mr. Luchetti.
Here.
Mr. Janet.
Here.
Mr. Kirking. Mr. Wilkes.
Here.
Mr. Lucine.
Here.
Mr. Costick.
Here. All right, newly elected board member. Mrs. Janice Doyle, would you please stand and recite the oath of office?
I, Beth Janice Doyle, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Lincoln Way Community High School District 210 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek the hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. And I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role of the equitable and quality education for every student in the district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation in the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Lincoln Way Community High School District 210. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure that all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure as continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with the law. I shall serve as education's key advocate and on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision for Lincoln Way Community High School District 210, and I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district forward toward fulfilling the vision of the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is Beth Janice Doyle. All righty, student council presidents. Last one, ladies. Who wants to go first? Who make me choose?
I will.
Excellent.
Good evening, everyone. Coming up to the end of the year, the entire school is busy preparing for future events and activities. The seniors' last day is tomorrow, and to celebrate our final Friday together, there will be a class picnic where Gatto's is generously catering lunch, and then there will be free time, hopefully outside if it doesn't rain, to spend time with one another and sign yearbooks. Graduation is next Tuesday, May 21st, and caps and gowns were recently distributed, making the end feel very real. As for the rest of the school, they will be in classes until the final week of May, where semester exams will begin. This year, Student Council will be passing out lemonade on the first day of finals, which is our first time doing so. Students love the hot chocolate during the first semester finals in the winter, so lemonade only felt right for the summer. Our yearbooks were revealed last week with the theme, The Way We See or Central It, and were a huge success. We look forward to finishing the year inside and outside of Student Council strong. As for myself, it has been a pleasure speaking on behalf of Central monthly in front of the board. I will be pursuing a biology degree on a credential track next year at the University of Notre Dame, and I look forward to the future. Thank you.
Well, and thank you for providing information to the board and the administration this year. I know Dr. Probus is very proud of the way you've represented Central. We'd like to congratulate you, give you a small token of our appreciation. If you can kind of make the round here, I'll shake your hand and give you a token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
Okay, with that done, all right? Congratulations.
Good evening. This year at Lincoln Way East is wrapping up very quickly. Students are working very diligently preparing for final exams, while seniors are preparing for their graduation on May 23rd. On this past Wednesday, seniors attended a senior lunch hosted by the school. Seniors enjoyed their lunch while playing games on the football field along with signing yearbooks. This year, the Lincoln Way East yearbook received the Gallery of Excellence Award from Waldsworth, a distinction that only 10% of their yearbooks receive every year, and because of this, their yearbook will be distributed nationwide as a sample book. The upperclassmen had a great turnout at this year's prom with one enchanted evening that was hosted on May 3rd. Over 850 students were in attendance for a beautiful night. The juniors and seniors are working diligently to create their 2019 social costumes, as the dance is tomorrow at CD&E. Last week, the gavel was passed as we elected our new Student Council Executive Board. We'd like to congratulate the new East President, David Vargas. In athletics, our spring sports have had a lot of success. The girls' badminton team took second place at conference and finished second place at sectionals by only half a point. The singles players, Casey Krishper and Paige Carlson, qualified for the state tournament. The boys' baseball team took the SWSC conference title Tuesday night and will be hosting the regional next week. The girls' track team will also be competing in the state tournament this weekend. Several of our boys' track members qualified for the state meet last night, including our 4x200 relay team, and individually AJ Henning, John Cruzel, Brett Gardner, and Farkan. East would like to wish the rest of the school board and administration a happy and relaxing summer. As for myself, I plan to go to Illinois State University to study to be a high school math teacher.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, we have your We have no one signed up for public comment, so moving on, curriculum and instruction updates.
Good evening. Tonight I am proud to begin with student recognition from our Read for a Lifetime program. Read for a Lifetime is a statewide high school reading program that at Lincoln Way is organized and managed by our librarians Aileen Cochet from Central, Jennifer Seaman from East, and Jennifer Broman-Bender from West, who wasn't able to make it tonight. Each year, Illinois high schools receive a list of 25 titles selected by the Read for a Lifetime state organization. Students who sign up and read at least 4 of the 25 titles in one school year receive a certificate of achievement from Secretary of State and State Librarian Jesse White. As you can see here, Lincoln Way's participation has steadily increased for the last few years due to the encouragement, support, and dedication of our librarians for the student program and our ambitious students who take on this challenge. Beyond the annual recognition, the Read for a Lifetime state organization further recognizes the achievement of 2 other groups of students. 4-year participants who have participated and read at least 4 titles all 4 years of high school, and the highest achieving participants, the 100 Titles Club, who read all 25 titles for all 4 years of high school. So first, it is my honor to recognize and present their state certificates to our 4-year participants. Able to be with us tonight, first, is Madison Glass. Next is Ashley Reifel. And now to honor and recognize our 100 Title Club members, Zoe Randolph, and Paige Sackman. Thank you to both our librarians, and these students for your passion for reading, your dedication, and commitment to this program. Congratulations.
Make sure you guys can stand up for this moment. Librarians and representatives.
And for tonight's curriculum and instruction report this evening, it's our last update on board goal number 2, which is to enhance curriculum with innovative instruction, assessment, and social emotional learning standards. Tonight's specific objective under this goal is to identify and address social emotional needs of the students within the school setting. As you know, social emotional learning has been a major area of focus for us for the past few years, as record numbers of students are dealing with social and emotional mental health issues such as stress, anxiety, and depression, not only at Lincoln Way, but across the nation. Although our social emotional work for putting standards embedded into our academic curriculum, our asset leaders are consistently sharing social emotional learning ideas with our students. The heart and core of our social emotional learning at Lincoln Way is in our PPS departments. Tonight, to share with you some of the many ways our PPS departments serve students' needs, including those that are social emotional, are our PPS directors. We have Michelle Newswander from Central, Jean Schaefer from East, and Holly Pearson from West.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. We wanted to talk a little bit just about our 3 main goals that we have within the PPS department, which is focusing on the academic achievement, focusing on college and career readiness, and those social emotional learning standards. We're going to spend a lot of our evening talking about the social emotional, but we wanted to highlight a little bit of everything that we do, whether that's helping students transition to school, looking at those academic and career goals, and looking at their strengths and their abilities and what they're good at, and harnessing that into what they want to do post-graduation, along with academic resources for students who are struggling, or looking at those responsive services, which is what we've seen in the last few years, especially where we've really tried to update and innovate our curriculum to meet those needs of those students. So for the college and career planning, we do a lot of different events, whether it's night events for our families, whether it's presentations for our students in small groups, our college and career fair. But we really feel it's important to constantly be looking at our students and promoting those post-high school goals with them. Along with that, we give them opportunities to meet with college reps throughout the year, and we promote that success each spring with what their future plans are. Along with that academic support is really talking about those standardized tests. We're in an environment now where those test scores are something that is always going to be looked at. So whether it's that PSAT in the fall for our juniors, those AP tests for our students in those classes, or that SAT in the spring, we're constantly trying to work with our students and promote doing well on those exams. When it comes to the social emotional side, we have to keep looking every year about what is going on with our students. In the 16 years that I've been in the counseling department, I feel that more of my job now is spent on the social emotional than it was when I first got into it. So every year we are looking at how we can innovate and really address those student needs. Whether it's suicide prevention, whether we're partnering with the Yellow Ribbon Program, Erica's Lighthouse, we come up with different things and we're presenting that to our students, and we want them to not feel ashamed of those things. We want to kind of get rid of that stigma when it comes to social emotional things. And then we want to focus on, that Say Something. Sandy Hook Promise has been a great organization, providing us a lot of free curriculum, where we're not only talking about harm to ourselves, but harm to our community, harm to our school, and being that voice so that they are our eyes and ears, and we want them to feel that they are that.
Now let's take a look at a few of the ways TPS has woven social emotional learning, commonly referred to as SEL, into the daily fabric of our schools. We recognize that SEL factors markedly affect academic engagement. The goal of SEL is to help students acquire adaptive skills to use both inside and outside of their classroom. Our PPS curriculum presentations are provided in a variety of ways throughout a student's 4 years of high school. In doing so, we provide ample opportunities for students to learn and practice core social skills such as decision-making, resilience, and self-reliance. world that existed when we were in high school is markedly different now. Having been a school social worker in this district for 20 years, I have observed these changes firsthand. A significant number of high schools students deal with challenges associated with depression, anxiety, and other health concerns. An important part of our mission is to help students cope with and overcome such challenges that often stand as barriers to their education. As the needs of our students have changed, the PPS department's role has evolved. This year alone, the PPS department sought to address growing reports of student anxiety and school refusal by organizing for a film entitled Angst to be shown at all 3 Lincoln Ways. This documentary was designed to raise awareness of anxiety through interviews with teens, educators, experts, and parents. An impressive number of both students and parents chose to attend. In March, the PPS department sponsored a wellness week where students were encouraged to develop healthy lifestyles and recognize the importance of both kindness to others and self-care. Opportunities we provided included morning mindfulness, where students were invited to begin their day with mindful breathing, yoga, and meditation, all intended to reduce stress and increase focus in the classroom. Healthy eating, where students learned to independently prepare meals that sustain the needs of their growing bodies and minds. We addressed the importance of developing self-soothing techniques by arranging for comfort dogs, which are said to provide emotional support and decrease stress, to visit our buildings. We made therapy putty during lunch hours in an effort to help our students learn to manage the stress of being a young adult in healthy, productive ways. In the PPS department, we seek to develop the whole student. We believe our students should have a broad range of experiences to enrich their learning and enable them to make connections to themselves and the wider world.
The PPS departments present some core curriculum every year, then assess needs to develop curriculum to meet the changing needs of our students. This year, we have increased our emphasis on social emotional learning. Social emotional learning competencies include self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. At all 3 Lincoln Ways, we utilize our senior leaders to assist with many aspects of social and emotional learning. Our leaders help our freshmen to transition into high school. We begin the school year with initiatives to make students feel safe and welcome. We make sure that no student sits alone at lunch. Leaders are present in freshman advisories and make sure that freshmen know the important dates, procedures, and opportunities to find success in high school. Our initiatives include Kindness Week, where students are encouraged to be kind to themselves, to others, and be grateful. Initiatives may look a little different at our campuses, but each school encourages positive attitudes and works to develop character and social and emotional learning competencies. The PPS department uses email, newsletters, parent presentations, and social media to keep parents informed. We email parents in advance before presentations, particularly when we plan to discuss sensitive topics. One example would be Aaron's Law, where schools are required to present sexual abuse education. This year, our school counselor, our school social worker teamed up with the Will County Children's Advocacy Center to record a presentation. PPS presentations include healthy decision making. We have had a DEA agent speak to our students. Even with topics of heavy content, our presentations have a message of hope and aim to provide students with support because we don't always know the situations our students face. The same presentation may encourage one student to stay away from drugs, give another student encouragement for recovery, and another student resources and support if they have a friend or family member suffering. We often communicate and collaborate with our community partners. A perfect example is our Road to Reality, where students experience the consequences of drinking and driving or distracted driving. We hope that this presentation has given you a glimpse into social emotional learning from the PPS perspective. Thank you so much for letting us present.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the regular meeting minutes of April 25th, 2019, approval of the closed meeting minutes of April 25th, 2019, approval of the May 3rd, 2019 payroll, out-of-state and out-of-state travel. Does anybody wish to have anything pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? With that, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
A motion and a second.
Second.
We open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to action items. Presentation of invoices for April 26, 2019 through May 16, 2019.
Motion to approve the invoices in the amount of $1,426,362.90 dated May 16, 2019.
A motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, if not, open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, Treasurer's Report for April 2019.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, for April, the district received $3,731,000 in revenue, while we expended $6,668,000. Our ending actual cash balance, including tax anticipation warrants, was $4,370,000, ending the month with a negative fund balance when accounting for the loans of $10,329,000. As far as cash flow goes, we actually were ahead of where we had projected on a month basis. And then for the financials, we are trending good. Revenue is very strong. We're actually, we just got notice actually just a couple of days ago that the state's going to make another categorical. So just as we had planned, so we should be right on budget there. We know on evidence-based funding, we'll be collect a little more there. And interest income is up substantially. And we're running ahead of where we had been on student fees because we opened registration a little earlier, but we should collect about the same as we did in prior year. But with all that, revenue is looking very good. On the expenditures, salaries and benefits are trending. Salaries are trending very well. Benefits are a little ahead, but we should be fine because we'll be under on salaries. And within then tuition, special ed tuition for outplacement students is higher than expected. We had a few more students out, and the state of Illinois approves all outplacement tuition rates, and they approved a retroactive bump for the providers, so that we had to pay that. But we will be fine overall, and Fund 50 is coming in line. We expect to be under budget in the total for Fund 50. We may be over in some little areas, but overall we'll be under. I checked with the auditors, and they said that would not cause an out of comment, so we should be good. That's my treasurer's report.
Well, was the spike in revenue this month just a timing thing, or?
Yeah, the big spike was because the student fees were up so much because we opened up a month early.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So in talking to others, there's no need to do any amendments to the budget.
I asked about that. I asked if we would need to amend. I gave them some examples where I thought we would probably end, and they feel like it was going to be material, so it wouldn't cause a comment, and we should be within the fund. We should be under budget in all the funds. We're just going to be over in some different areas. So,
would it be prudent to make an amendment just to guard against any comment down the road? If later on they look at it and say, you know what, we do need to make a comment on this.
I don't feel like it is. I mean, we're going to be under, so anyway, I think we'll be just fine.
Okay.
Did we make the last TAW draw here on May 1st?
Yes, we
Was
did.
it 2.3 million?
Correct.
So We should start paying those off now, correct?
We'll start, yep, yeah, in the end of May, we should be able to start making our first payment. We have taxes coming in, again, we have 2 payments this year in June, an early and a later one. So we'll be making double TAW payments. So when it comes to the 27th of June, we'll have to take a look, and I will already get a 2020 cash flow rolling. I've got a drafted one going now, but we'll want to double check that based on the timing of our TAW payments, because we could be ahead and actually pay down more, so we got to make sure we don't short ourselves in August through September till we get our next set of taxes. So, but I'll double check that before we make those final June payments.
So I think it's important to know, last year, we borrowed 24 million in TAWs, so this year, we're down to, our max will be 17, so.
Big number.
Yeah.
We're trending in the right direction.
Correct.
Great job. Anything further on the treasurer's report?
No, sir.
With that, I entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented. And a motion at a second.
Second.
A motion a second. Could open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Student activities report for April 2019.
Student activity report in your backup materials, just 2 clubs were overbalanced, but both have been factor positive by the printing of the memo. So as of now, no clubs or activities with negative balances.
Fantastic. I entertain a motion to accept the student activities report for April 2019.
So moved.
Have a motion, to have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Can we open the vote, please?
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Personnel report, employments.
All right, under employment, we have Jason Apollo, Special Service Coordinator in Lincoln Way Central, Summer Druskowski, English Teacher, Lincoln Way West, Constantine Zakatis, JROTC Instructor, Lincoln Way Central, and Rachel Winkler, Speech Pathologist, Lincoln Way East. Ask the board to accept this employment report as presented.
I get a motion to accept the employment report as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion to a second. Any discussion? Can we open the vote, please?
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Retirements.
Under retirements, they have Janet Puthammer, Special Services Secretary, Lincoln Way West, retired in May 15, 2019. I ask the board to approve this retirement as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion and a second.
Thank you. The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Resignations, leaves, and other.
All right, under resignations, we have Benjamin Clark, JFAN sponsor, George Chart, mathematics teacher, Katie Dyer, paraprofessional, Ann Gore, paraprofessional, Kelly Harris, newspaper sponsor, Tim Harrison, chess club sponsor, Colin Hopper, assistant soccer coach, Jeff Render, Pi Sigma Pi sponsor, Jen Ruse, drama club director, and Nick Shaw, part-time dean. And under leaves, we have Stephanie Little is requesting a leave from October 29th, 2019 to December 11th, 2019. I ask board to approve these resignations and leaves as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Vote is open.
Thank you.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Policies, we've got a second reading tonight.
As mentioned last meeting, there was from press recommended updates to policy. There will be an additional policy that will be put in place dealing with additional school security. As I noted, we will work with Will, and that policy will be in place at the start of the school year in August. But I recommend that we accept the policy changes as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the policy changes as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question, so with all these changes, do they get revised on the, what's posted to board docs?
Yes.
So all these changes.
So Linda will start tomorrow and update those, and by the end of next week, Chris, everything will be new.
Congratulations.
She loves it.
Especially all these footnotes.
Yeah.
Nice and small print, yeah, sure, that's correct.
Yes, they will be updated in on our board docs.
Can I get a motion to approve the policy changes as presented?
You got it.
Oh, we have
The vote is open.
That's right, I'm sorry.
The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Consolidated district plan.
This is a formality, one up, Dr. Fury, if there are any questions, but this is the first step through ISB now for us to receive any federal grant applications and management processes. Dr. Fury, if you give us just a brief overview.
Sure. It's just a change to ISB's procedures. We used to do separate district plans for the special ed grant, for the title grant, and for an EL grant. ISB has chosen to put all three of them into one, hence the consolidated district plan. It's just a formality that you need to go through and have a plan for what you plan to do with the title money and the IDEA grant and the EL money, should you get any, if you were to be granted the money. So it's just kind of putting our projects together, what we are planning to do with professional development, what we plan to do with academic growth, the programs that we're going to use the title money for, and it's just in order to even apply for the grants, this plan has to be created first.
So they're not giving us much of a choice, we want the money.
Correct. Is E-plan different than E-rate? E-rate, something we always talk about with technology.
Yes, this is slightly different.
This is different?
Yes, definitely.
With that, I entertain a motion to accept the consolidated district plan as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Get that title money.
Yes, that's right.
You're gonna get it.
That money. All right, moving on to the independent inspector general.
We have not yet received the engagement letter, but we will have that ready for June, or prior to the July 1st term.
So nothing to do there. Okay, interfund loan repayment resolution operations and maintenance fund to educational fund.
Right. Whenever an interfund loan exceeds one fiscal year, then we need to authorize a resolution to repay. The district they took out a $6 million loan from education to O&M back in 2016. On May 1st of 2017, they repaid $4 million, leaving $2 million left to be paid. We'll need to have that paid back before we exceed the so it's got to be paid by June 15th, so we can't exceed the 3 years. So this resolution allows us to do that. We will pay it back with the 2018 O&M tax levy.
Straightforward. Can I get a motion to approve the interfund loan repayment as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The vote is open. Ms. Janice Doyle?
Sorry, I clicked next to it, my bad.
The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Excellent. Facility rental rates. Brad's favorite project.
It is by far my favorite project. I had a great opportunity to meet right after the last board meeting. I sent out a note requesting meetings with all of the organizations listed in the memo. I had already spoken with the Gators. They felt they were fine. They had just the one request. Then I met with the Sharks, and you see their request. Administration reviewed those requests and agreed with those. So from the only change then from the prior meeting till today is we're recommending that the practice and dual meet rental rate be moved from $40 per hour to $35 per hour. And then the Class 3 aquatic supervisor staff rate for dual meet fee would be reduced from 28 to 15. And that one honestly was a little oversight on my part. I expected that we'd probably be at overtime. Well, I realized these are part-time people. I would pay hardly overpay overtime. So on a Saturday, they would just be making their $15. So that's why we agreed to go ahead and lower that. We did not need to cover the higher costs we were incurring. So anyway, with that, I would ask the board to go ahead and approve it. We did put in there a chart so you can kind of see what it's been. We hadn't raised rates since 2014-15, but you can see what they were in the past and what we're now recommending that they be moved to.
Great job. Glad the organizations had a chance to put their input in, and you guys got to an amicable agreement. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the facility rental rates as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? That could open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Wonderful. 3-year driver's education car lease.
Go ahead, Brad, I'll let you celebrate this one.
This is a great one.
This is great.
Yes, so the district was in pretty dire needs for updating our driver's ed fleet. We have quite a few cars. So we looked at getting a minimum of 3 new cars per high school. We put out a bid for that, and we're very pleased to announce that Phillips Chevrolet had came back with 9 driver's ed cars for a 3-year lease at no cost, and it includes maintenance, tire rotation, and all of that. It's going to be a great partnership. We're going to allow them to put advertisement on the cars. We'll announce this partnership with our parent meetings, and we'll put a link on our webpage where you have some information about that. But that's a great opportunity for us to partner with a business in the community. It'll be good for our students, be good for the district, and hopefully be good for Phillips Chevrolet too.
Thank you to Phillips Chevrolet and General Motors as well, looking at this the rebate that they offered Phillips, that allows them to do that. So
right.
Do we know anything about that program?
We sent out the bid specs to all local car dealerships, and we don't know anything about the specifics of that
Yes,
program.
Phillips took on they did all the legwork, took on if you will, the research. I didn't know about the program. I didn't know to research. They did all that on their own accord. Just hats off to them for doing the homework and getting us the cars. So greatly appreciate it.
Great.
excellent. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the 3-year driver's education car lease as presented.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, joint agreement with District 843 for operations and maintenance.
This is an agreement we've had in place for several years where Rich Wilkie acts as the supervisor for District 843 when it comes to operations, maintenance, life safety, larger maintenance issues of all 843 buildings. As we are a part of 843, they are also our asset. We feel that this is cost effective but also beneficial as we know Rich's skill and oversight. So I would recommend that we continue with the current agreement where they pay us $36,000. It'd be $18,000 twice a year. I would recommend that we move forward with the agreement. If this board approves it, then it would be approved at 843 and we would move on forward from there. We'd have to put in the 2 dates. Typically they pay one installment prior to December 31st and the second prior to June 30th, so we get both payments in the fiscal year.
They've already signed it.
And it was approved by their last board, but we'll insert those 2 dates, and my recommendation would be to move forward with this agreement.
Do we track Rich's time at all?
We don't. The biggest portion is when they have the 10-year life safety. And Rich, that was last year, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. So we haven't tracked time. Rich, on average, what would you say per month? It depends. Yeah, it depends on what major issues they have. The biggest thing is the life safety, which has been completed, and we won't have to undergo that for quite some time. The other asset to Rich is before there are any large construction projects, he's part of that discussion, whether it be parking lots, roofs, siding, so that we're better able to budget and plan throughout the process.
Does he do that work for 843 here, or does he go actually to 843?
Site.
So,
Sorry.
do you do the work for 843 here, or do you actually go over to 843?
Well, there are site visits, any
combination.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oftentimes it's through email or phone conversations, but I do site visits.
Okay.
But you'll go several weeks at a time and not be called by 843. There are times where there's more of a need. It has not been a detractor to what we have to do here at Lincoln Way East or Lincoln Way High School. Would you agree, Rich?
Yes.
If we don't have this agreement, 843 would lean towards hiring a full-time individual, which would cost the cooperative quite a bit more, and then we would share in that cost.
I have 2 more things.
Yes.
So on these, and since we have 3 lawyers, are these indemnifications D&E? I asked this last year.
Right.
And it still doesn't look right to me how
I believe
District 2.
I think it is.
It is right?
It looks like it is this time. I think the last time they said the same thing, just reversing District 210 and District 843. This one.
So District 210 agrees to indemnify.
It goes both ways. I mean,
Yeah, but one's the operations and maintenance supervisor that we're hiring, and then they're protecting their employees. Do you think this is right? Okay.
And we had sent the new one to John Izzo after last year and then again this year. Because I think it wasn't accurate.
I think the first time it was written last year, it was, yeah, I remember you bringing it up and we had made some comments on it, so.
And then, since we're not bringing back a transportation supervisor, is that?
They hired one.
They hired
a full-time.
Okay, right.
there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to accept the joint agreement, District 843 operations and maintenance as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second, we open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Firewall refresh proposal.
The recommendation and the background is in your backup material. Rather than read everything, I would ask if we entertain any questions. Come on up, Cheryl. This would be an update for our firewall from CDWG for $108,852. And essentially, what we have will be obsolete and soon, and it's time to upgrade, but Cheryl can answer any specific questions that you may have.
So I'll start. So it's stated in here that this is going to be within the technology budget for 2020. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding right. So I'm taking what was presented in the technology plan in February. We had the wireless APs, access points at 350,000. I know it was a little bit over that, but if we had E-rate, it was going to be at 215,000. So there's some savings there. Then we had the 150,000 for the desktops and 100,000 for the firewall, which is this, for a cost of 600. We had budgeted at this point 500,000. So total cost, we were over by 100,000. Now, obviously, that would be covered by this, the access points. But then also, when we were talking through the 5-year forecast, and I wasn't here, but in February when you were going over the capital projects budget, there was also going to be a reduction in the budget for technology of $100,000. So was that already factored into this number here? And did we get the E-rates on the wireless APs yet?
We have not gotten our official funding letter back for E-rate yet. That should be coming hopefully within the next month or so. And our other project was the wire infrastructure, and we're waiting for that one as well, but that was the following budget year.
The fiber?
We're also waiting for that. But
I thought the wireless was this year, I thought, and the fiber was 2021.
The wireless and the fiber are this year planned for this summer, and the wired switch project would be the following year.
Of the switches. So are we in budget? I mean, we're spending money for the next budget year already. So, I mean, what is the I think I need to understand what the technology budget is, what we've spent, and where we're at.
Yeah. Are we still within that total? I know, Brian, you've been working on this.
So one of the other things that we're in the process of doing is, because of some of the savings that we experienced in the current fiscal year, we've been able to shift the purchase of some of our desktop computers to this fiscal year instead of next fiscal year. So the majority of that expenditure that's budgeted on the document that you're looking at is actually coming off because we're paying for it now. So to answer your question short, yes, we are within our budget. Our budget is right now is anticipated at $500,000 is what we look to be spending for the fiscal year 20.
So the 500,000 is after the 100,000 that you need in savings.
That is correct.
We're still, as we know, we're kind of in a game of playing catch up on the technology side. As we also discussed in February, as we drill down the line items in the budget, we're hoping to get that $100,000 back in by the time we bring a budget back to the board. We're not planning on spending that right now, but that is vision and goal. We know that as budgets are coming in, we're going to have some extra to work with where it's needed as we continue to play a little catch up in the technology world. But we've made considerable advancements moving forward.
What would be helpful to me is if we start utilizing this a little bit more like we have a capital projects plan and have a technology plan, so that we can see the life of these things, when these costs are going to come back. I mean, this is kind of the appendix to it, but I mean, if we can see that, and then we can also, when we come, one thing each meeting, you can see what we vote on, because I knew one of them was 2 years down the road, but I also want to understand, like, we're doing all this infrastructure. I understand to go to one-to-one potentially here, and all the infrastructure needs to be done, but I mean, who is looking at like the plan, the overall plan on that?
Yeah. And we have that, we can bring that back, Chris, and I think exactly you, so you're looking for a column-to-column comparison, similar to our 10-year construction plan.
Right, because especially when we're
With the cost.
approving things, like one's 1 year out, one's this year, and we have this budget, we're saying, okay, to get in budget, we're gonna drop the technology budget by 100,000. It's just, I think we have to, at least as a board member, I think I have to be able to track that.
Absolutely, we can do that. Brian and Cheryl can have that for us. Absolutely.
So I mean, I think we can approve this, but I think it should be subject to the getting the E-rate for the wireless access points.
Well, if we didn't get the wireless, the E-rate for the wireless access points, would we just have to sharpen the pencil somewhere else for next year?
Okay, where is that gonna be?
Well, I mean, just tell the administration, I mean, we're gonna have to work with them when they present the budget and find that, I guess.
Because I tell you, all this new technology is gonna require.
And that's $130,000. $35,000, the E-rate.
Right. I understand, but I mean, we've already approved that purchase, subject to the approval, right? Or-
Subject to.
No, we didn't, like that,
No.
that was approved regardless.
Yeah.
I thought it was subject to the approval of the E-rate. No?
Correct.
Oh, the switch. Okay.
And also, in the budget documents that you're looking at, we budgeted for the full amount. We didn't budget for the E-rate of the amount.
Yeah, but the budget's 100,000 over.
And again, we took the computers out of next year's budget and slid them over into this year's, so we'll be paying for that expenditure in this year instead of next year, which accounts for the $100,000 that we reduced the technology budget for the fiscal year 20.
The only problem with that is that was done last month, and then we move it into this year. I mean, last month at the meeting, we approved something for the 2020 budget, and now we're moving it into this year. I mean, okay, that's what's gonna happen. I'm just saying that we should probably have known that last month.
No, we'll get a detailed spreadsheet of all the costing and anticipation of when those costs will occur.
I would still make it subject to the E-rate, getting the E-rate. That's just me.
Well, I mean, if we did that, and so we've already got this new technology coming in, and help me out here, would it be, if we don't get the E-rate and if we didn't have this new firewall, would this new technology that we're gonna have regardless be protected with the old firewall? Would it still be possible?
Well, we're looking at upgrading the firewall because the current operating system on our existing appliances is the version that is out right now is 9.0. That was released in February. Based on their release for version 7 and version 8, it's usually the 9 to 12 month that 9.1 will be released, so I anticipate 9.1 will be out this year. 9.2 will be out next year. Our current hardware cannot be updated beyond version 9.2 of the software. They are not going to support the hardware model that we have. And Dr. Tagley mentioned it's going to be obsolete in the next 2 years. I'm not going to be able to put the latest security updates and protections for our network on the existing hardware that we have.
So
Can
that's,
we wait on this then?
well, I mean, you were saying that the E-rates should come in next month. We're talking 2 years out. And if the E-rate didn't come in, then we sharpen the pencil and decide what we have to do to afford the,
Actually, this project is one that we would be looking at doing this summer and ordering the hardware this summer. So where we have it in the 20 budget, this would be the 19-20 budget. And we would like to have a little bit larger window. This is not a weekend project to do an install and upgrade and test new hardware. It's something that we would definitely have to do over a summer break project where we have a little lighter traffic on our network, or possibly a Christmas break project to put something in.
With that, I entertain a motion to pass the firewall refresh proposal as presented. motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. If you would open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is 6 yeses and 1 no from Mr. Lucetti. Excuse me? Oh, 5, I apologize.
Mr. Kirking showed up.
I'm sorry. The motion passes.
So, to Mr. Luchetti's point, if we could maybe just see that spreadsheet at the next meeting.
Yep, we're going to do that. And we need to be much clearer of which fiscal year expenditures are coming from. We'll clean that up.
Okay, moving on. Adoption of proposed school handbook changes.
Your backup material is the revised handbook for the upcoming school year. Entertain any questions that you may have. Next month, we will bring our course catalog back for approval as well.
Wasn't much change.
Correct. Just, we'll do an annual, that's something we're gonna start doing now that we have not been doing, would be an annual approval of the course catalog. So the one change, I believe, we will be asking credit for some of our special needs advisory study halls to resource. So that'll be something that's
Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion for the adoption of the proposed school handbook changes.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Open the vote, please.
Vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
All right, moving on, informational items. Report of the Lincoln Way Special Education District 843 Governing Board meeting held April 23rd, 2019. We got Mr. Lulo here.
No, Mr. Lulo. Nothing really to report. They did amend their school calendar as we had done, and some other very routine matters. I believe Mr. Wilkes will start next week.
Yes, and I can report that I have met with Mrs. Rexborough. She was graciously to give me a tour of the facility. I was able to see them in action, so to speak. We sat down for a while. She is going to be providing me some information. There's a lot of acronyms that are used over there, so I'm going to have to get myself boned up in that regard, but it was good. I got to meet everybody over there, and we'll be ready to go for the meeting at the end of this month. So.
Excellent. Good job. FOIA requests.
Just your FOIA request and the backup materials for your review.
02, I like these numbers. Building and grounds.
Once again, in the backup materials, if you have any questions, I'm sure Mr. Wilkie will do his best to answer them.
District 210 advisory, Beth.
We did not have a meeting in May. We will resume our meetings the next school year in September.
Excellent. Community relations.
Just in your backup materials for your review.
Asset of the month.
Asset of the month, community support, a caring environment. At home, regularly spend time helping others, volunteer at a shelter, soup kitchen, or nursing home. At school, encourage all students to participate in service activities. I think we do a pretty good job of that here. And in the community, honor and affirm youth who serve others.
Fiscal year 2020 budget updates.
Just wanted to update the board. I put the updated budget calendar in there to reflect the moving to the August 15th date for the board meeting, and then I inadvertently listed August 18th, which is Sunday. We won't be posting it. We'll be doing that on Monday the 19th.
Excellent. Legislative reports.
What's the old adage? Let's not mistake activity for achievement. There is a lot going on in Springfield, but nothing necessarily being accomplished at this time. We'll continue to monitor the situations down there as they unfold. There is, once again, a property tax freeze. It is a possibility. They've attached attached it to the progressive income tax bill, and it would be a tax freeze just on the educational segment. They took out the municipalities. So we'll continue to monitor that. I've shared the potential loss of revenue with our representatives. Brad had done that for us over a 5-year period. It's about $27 million cumulative, I believe.
22 million.
22, okay. 22 million over a 5-year period. So we shared that number, and we'll continue to monitor that situation.
Excellent. Superintendent's district.
Nothing additional to report this evening.
Any correspondence? No correspondence. Other district business. Well, before we move into closed session, I just want to congratulate the faculty, the staff, the administration, the students, and the parents on a wonderful 2019 school year. All the schools being ranked by U.S. News and World Report. That was a fantastic article. It's wonderful to see. I know we're up here and we get bogged down in the finances and the day-to-day and the price of everything, but we all have to remember that's really what we're here for, is this educational excellence and educating our students, and that seems to be going very well. And if there's nothing else, I would like to entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Excellent. There will be no action after closed session this evening.